Hey everybody, I hope y'all are doing good. I just uploaded Ezra 4 and we're going to go ahead and jump into Ezra 5. I usually do them day by day, but I'm just going to go ahead and jump in because Ezra 5 is really short and I already have our lessons here to go over with y'all. So Ezra 5, let's jump in. At that time, the prophets Haggai and Zechariah, son of Iddo, prophesied to the Jews in Judah and Jerusalem. They prophesied in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them. Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, responded by starting again to rebuild the temple of God in Jerusalem. And the prophets of God were with them and helped them. Okay? But Tattenai, governor of the province west of the Euphrates River, and Shethar-bozenai and their colleagues soon arrived in Jerusalem and asked, "Who gave you permission to rebuild this temple and restore this structure?" They also asked for the names of all the men working on the temple, but because their God was watching over them, the leaders of the Jews were not prevented from building until a report was sent to Darius and he returned his decision. So this is a copy of the letter that Tattenai, the governor, and Shethar-bozenai and the other officials of the province west of the Euphrates River sent to King Darius. To King Darius, greetings. The king should know that we went to the construction site of the temple of the great God in the province of Judah. It is being rebuilt with specially prepared stones, and timber is being laid in its walls. The work is going forward with great energy and success. We asked the leaders who gave you permission to rebuild this temple and restore this structure. And we demanded their names so that we could tell you who the leaders were. This was their answer. We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the temple that was built here many years ago by a great king of Israel. But because our ancestors angered the God of heaven, he abandoned them to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, who destroyed this temple and exiled the people to Babylonia. However, King Cyrus of Babylon, during the first year of his reign, issued a decree that the temple of God should be rebuilt. King Cyrus returned the gold and silver cups that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple of God in Jerusalem and had placed in the temple of Babylon. These cups were taken from the temple and presented to a man named Sheshbazzar, whom King Cyrus appointed as governor of Judah. The king instructed him to return the cups to their place in Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple of God there on its original site. So this Sheshbazzar came and laid the foundations of the temple of God in Jerusalem. The people have been working on it ever since, though it is not yet completed. Therefore, if it pleases the king, we request that a search be made in the royal archives of Babylon to discover whether King Cyrus ever issued a decree to rebuild God's temple in Jerusalem, and then let the king send us his decision in this matter. So we can see here that the work is going forward and being done, okay, for God, the rebuilding of the wall here, okay. And so we're going to go ahead and break down the points here. So number one, God sends prophetic voices when his people stall, okay. So when there's a delay, God often is going to send prophetic voices of encouragement just to, confirm and let the people know it's going to be finished, it's going to be fulfilled. So after years of delay, God raises up Haggai and Zechariah to speak directly to the leaders. Their prophetic words break the stagnation and restart the assignment. So it gets the people momentum back up. God has spoken. Okay, let's go ahead and go forward and do what God has called us to do. Okay. Number two, the people respond immediately to God's work. Okay, to his word. Okay, they're not waiting. They're not being delayed anymore. They sat around long enough. They waited long enough. Let's go forward now that we've got this prophetic word to do so. So Zerubbabel and Jeshua don't hesitate. They begin rebuilding the moment the prophets speak. And just to let y'all know, I'm looking over here because that's where my notes are. I'm on my laptop, y'all. Number three, opposition returns, but this time it cannot stop the work. Okay, so when opposition came in chapter 4, it caused a delay. It stopped the work. Okay, however, this time opposition returns. Who gave you permission? Who said you could do, here they go. But this time it cannot stop the work. So the Persian officials confront the builders and demand to know who gave them permission. But unlike Ezra 4, the work does not stop because God's eye is on the elders. God is in this thing, okay? Number 4, the builders stand firm and speak boldly, okay? They're speaking different than they did in chapter 4, okay? They respond with confidence. And they say, we are the servants of the God of heaven and earth. They explain their history and the original decree of Cyrus. And we saw that in the letter that was read, okay, by the governor and the other individual that was with the governor. Was it the governor? Well, I'm sorry, y'all, if I get it wrong. Okay, and then finally, number 5, the same legal system used against them is now used for them. So y'all remember in chapter 4, when they came up against them, they told the king to look in the archives, go back and look in the records. Was it the records? I believe it was the records, to see that this is an evil people and they're rebellious, and they were just saying all kind of stuff, y'all. So number 5 shows us that the same legal system used against them is now used for them. Okay, so King Cyrus had already said they can rebuild this wall. They can go forward doing the Lord's work. Okay. And so this is the revelation. Ezra 4, the enemy says, search the records, Jerusalem is rebellious. So they wanted the king to find negative history to stop the work. And then here we see in Ezra 5, the builders say, search the records. Cyrus already gave us permission. Okay. So they wanted King Darius to find the original decree that authorizes the rebuilding. So this is a divine reversal. Okay, God can flip anything. God can make anything work for our good. So don't get caught up in the delay. The delay is not a denial. Just because opposition rose up, just because people hindered the progress for a short period of time, right, does not mean it's going to always be delayed. It's going to always be hindered. Okay, so take that time to rest. Take that time to seek God. Read your word as you're waiting. Start talking with God about doing other projects and different things He's called you to do while you're waiting on that major assignment that He's called you to do. Okay, so I pray that this reaches who is meant to reach, encourage who is meant to encourage. Do the work. Be about the Father's business, y'all, and He's gonna be about our business. Don't leave His house in rubbles while you're trying to work on getting your house in order. Okay, get God's house where it needs to be, and He gonna get your house where it needs to be. Okay, so God bless y'all, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.